Caitlin Clark has been under significant pressure recently, especially from certain factions within the LGBTQ community. This scrutiny has raised concerns as some feel that her success and influence could overshadow their efforts within the sport. While it's clear that Caitlin's incredible talent and popularity have contributed to her success, there is also a deeper, more complex narrative behind the backlash she's facing. Critics argue that her straight identity in a league that sees a strong LGBTQ presence has played a role in the intense scrutiny, drawing attention to broader societal dynamics and how they influence public perceptions and media coverage of athletes in the WNBA.
I think they hate Caitlin Clark because she's a conservative, straight white female. It's probably
that got a lot to do with it.
Because most of the women in the NBA are gay black women. Just saying.
Man, I think that got a lot to do with it, but they not.
The backlash against Caitlin Clark this year is undeniably intense. Many speculate that part of this comes from an underlying jealousy and competitive tension. However, some analysts believe there's more to it. According to them, there's a growing perception that Clark is being pressured to conform to an expectation around her sexual identity. As a straight player in a league where a significant percentage of athletes are openly part of the LGBTQ community, some argue that her success threatens established norms, leaving her in an uncomfortable spotlight. This raises questions about the extent to which societal pressure influences athletic careers and public opinion.
Caitlin Clark is a white heterosexual woman in a black lesbian league, and they resent and are jealous of all of the attention and the shoe deal that she got. And instead of recognizing the truth, which is great athletes who people care about coming into your league really do make everybody more money and, hey, get you charter airplane flights instead of flying commercial.
The scrutiny on Caitlin Clark seems to have a darker undercurrent. While analysts point to her undeniable talent, there's increasing speculation about why she's being targeted. Some believe the hate directed at her is rooted in societal pressures, with reports suggesting that Clark is facing this scrutiny because she doesn't align with certain expectations in the WNBA. Despite her record-breaking performances, the tension surrounding her may reflect deeper issues within the league, where players' identities, particularly their sexual orientation, are influencing perceptions and dynamics. It's a complex situation, with much of the discourse revolving around her personal identity rather than just her athleticism.
Quartering says, Dave, have the courage to call it what it is. I really appreciate you speaking on this, but this is simple racism. They hate Caitlin Clark because she is white and likely because she's straight too. Also, where is Caitlin's teammates? They need to protect.
Caitlin Clark's journey through this year's season has been marked by immense scrutiny, despite her standout performances. Many attribute the hate directed at her to her identity, not just her race, but her straight sexual orientation as well. As a white, straight woman in a high-profile role, she represents a demographic that stands apart in a league where LGBTQ+ players are majority. This dynamic has sparked controversy, with some questioning whether her success is being overshadowed by broader societal issues around race and sexual identity. As Clark continues to break records, the focus on her personal identity has only intensified, leading to complex and often negative conversations in the media.
No, these players have been explicit about how they don't like the fact that Caitlin Clark is bringing attention to the league as a straight white woman, okay? And they hate the fact that nobody cared about the league when the stars of the league were mostly black lesbian women, okay? They made that known that, hey, we are jealous of her. We don't like her success because of her skin color and her sexuality. This is what they've said, and they've made it very clear that this is how they feel, not just from their comments, but also on the...
Caitlin Clark has been a game changer in the WNBA, but her success has come with a price. Analysts suggest that a key part of the backlash stems from her status as a straight player in a league where 72% of players identify as LGBTQ+. This dynamic seems to fuel jealousy and discomfort among some of her peers. Clark's influence on the league challenges long-standing norms, disrupting the established hierarchies. The narrative surrounding her isn't just about basketball. It's about breaking boundaries and forcing uncomfortable conversations about identity in the sports world, particularly in a league that is seen as being dominated by the LGBTQ+ community.
Look at the situation with Caitlin Clark, who has brought eyes to women's basketball and has been treated like she's a criminal. Like, it's just, even when there's opportunities for women's sports to be independent, because before everything right, you're still being treated like you're not doing enough. Is it the race thing? Is it because of her sexuality? Like she doesn't check enough boxes? What do you think the issue is?
I don't think she checks enough boxes, but I look at her and I'm like, okay, she should be on the Olympic team.
Clark's growing influence has made her a disruptive force in the WNBA, but this disruption isn't only about basketball. Her success and popularity as a straight player in a league where LGBTQ+ players make up a significant portion of the roster have raised eyebrows. Some within the league feel overshadowed by her.
Incredible, by the way. And I watch too. I think she's incredible. The shot, I watched the shot go in. All that.
Members of the LGBTQ+ community in the league who may feel that her straight identity makes her a threat to the inclusive image they've worked to cultivate. It's a complex situation that highlights ongoing tensions between identity, fame, and acceptance in professional sports.
I think the situation surrounding Caitlin Clark is pathetic. It has nothing to do with what's happening on the court. Those veterans, those women are coming after Caitlin Clark, as they should. She's the #1 overall draft pick. They should come after her. They do it in the NBA. They did it with Kobe Bryant and LeBron James.
Experts like Sunny Hostin and Jay Hill have weighed in on Caitlin Clark's rise to fame, arguing that her popularity stems from her being a straight, white athlete in a league that has a significant LGBTQ+ presence. These individuals suggest that Clark's success is partly due to her being an anomaly in a league where LGBTQ+ athletes dominate the conversation. This viewpoint has sparked controversy, with critics accusing them of overlooking her talent and focusing solely on her identity. While there's no doubt that identity plays a role in public perception, many argue that Clark's remarkable skill on the court should be the focal point of the conversation.
That she is more relatable to more people because she's white, because she's attractive. And unfortunately, there still is that stigma against the LGBTQ+ community. 70% of the WNBA is black. A third of the players are in the LGBTQ+ community. And we have to do something about that stigma.
In a recent discussion, Sunny Hostin, co-host of The View, weighed in on Caitlin Clark's rising popularity, suggesting that she's only famous because she's a straight, white player in a league dominated by LGBTQ+ athletes. Hostin's comments have raised eyebrows, as they seem to downplay Clark's athletic abilities in favor of focusing on her identity. Critics argue that such views ignore the real reasons behind Clark's success, her exceptional talent and hard work. It's clear that Clark's popularity has sparked complex debates about race, sexuality, and the role of identity in the sports world, but it's important not to lose sight of her accomplishments on the court.
My thing with Sunny Hostin is, this is not true, by and large. I think Caitlin Clark is very popular for the same reason that Steph Curry is very popular. I've talked about this for years. I coached Little League basketball, whatever you want to call it, young kid basketball over the years. All the kids want to be Steph Curry. Caitlin Clark plays the exact same way. Caitlin Clark plays basketball as a WNBA star, and before that, at Iowa women's team, in the same way that Steph Curry plays basketball.
Some critics seem intent on reducing Caitlin Clark's success to her identity rather than her athletic prowess. Instead of celebrating her skill, the focus has shifted to her sexual orientation and race. This framing of Clark's rise to fame reflects broader societal issues that extend beyond sports, and it raises concerns about the importance of personal identity in shaping public perception. Many argue that this narrative detracts from her athletic achievements, turning the conversation into one about race and sexuality rather than basketball. It's a reminder that in sports, as in society, identity plays a significant role in shaping both opportunities and challenges.
Steph Curry's black. Caitlin Clark's race and her gender are not the reasons that she's popular. They had nothing to do with her becoming the NCAA scoring champion.
The WNBA is facing a difficult crossroads as it tries to balance its desire to embrace dynamic players like Caitlin Clark with internal divisions over the role of sexual identity in the league. Clark's rise to fame has exposed tensions within the WNBA, particularly regarding players who don't fit the LGBTQ+ mold. The league has been working to promote inclusivity, but Clark's success as a straight player challenges certain established norms. This has led to tensions between those who feel that her popularity threatens the league's LGBTQ+ representation and those who believe her talent deserves to be celebrated regardless of her sexual orientation.
How much of this do you think, though, is the marketing potential of a Caitlin Clark? Because quite frankly, this is a league that is largely, as you said, largely black women. It's also largely LGBTQ. She's a white, heterosexual woman.
But yes, it helps that she's white, straight, and from Iowa, in a league that has faced marketing challenges throughout the history over the last 3 decades that it's been in existence. It's faced marketing challenges because of the things that you mentioned, because 70% of the players are Black women, because a third of them identify as LGBTQ+. Yes, it has faced challenges.
In a recent interview, Jay Hill expressed frustration with Caitlin Clark's rise to fame, suggesting that her success is unfair in a league where most players are LGBTQ+. Hill's comments reflect a broader resentment about the dominance of straight athletes in a space that many feel should prioritize LGBTQ+ representation. According to some analysts, the extreme physical fouls and harassment Clark has faced on the court are tied to these tensions. The discourse surrounding her career often revolves around her identity, raising questions about how race, sexual orientation, and talent intersect in shaping public opinion about athletes in women's professional sports.
Anyway, they vigorously defended the Black players who cheap-shotted Clark on the court, namely Kennedy Carter. There was no excuse for them doing that. The only excuse for them doing that is the obvious. They were racist, they were old school, they were buddies with all the old OG lesbian African-American women of the WNBA. That's why they did it. They have to live in that area, in that space, as children call it.